We know how both of these teams thrive off the momentum, how they trade hits back and forth, and neither of these teams will quit. Zaka gonna be opening up for Nokron on the Unknown here. Intriguing build. I have never actually seen a brutal strength run on the Unknown. I'm of course going to be joined by Zach today, who was with you for yesterday's match for a brief time and is going to be here for all of today as well. What are we thinking about this one, Zach?
Thank you for the introduction, Egdar. I honestly think these two teams are pretty evenly matched on Unknown as far as the stats go. So it being Nokron's pick, they clearly have just shown that they're confident, but more for their survivor side. We've seen Zaka, even when he does set results that maybe aren't as great, his survivor side are able to clutch it back. But yeah, that is a very fast down to Bubbo. I mean, clearly showing the confidence on the pick there, but also just, I mean, maybe a bit of a misplay from Bubbo himself. Like, that was a very, very fast down. 46 seconds. That's probably, I think that's about 30-40 seconds higher than the average.
Our average is 133, so about 45 seconds above time. That is exceptional. 45 seconds, that's enough time for, you know, half a generator. It's a lot of hang time. Time for the killer to cover the entire side of the map. And remember, we say time so much because that is the key resource that you have in this game. It is a matter of time. Speaking of it, that timer on Bubbo's hook is going to go down slowly but surely. Hardwell obviously positioned for the unhook, but Zaka was right there with the teleport back to Shaq. Hardwell not able to find anything concrete to work with before having to eat an injury and run away. Zaka knows the name of the game, however. You have a very early down, you have it in basement, and you even have a hallucination set up on the basement stairs. Now, it seems like you're going to stick around here, but honestly, I think that you have the luxury to leave and pressure out some of these generators if you really wanted to. Interestingly enough, this was Nokron's pick. They did get the advantage of choosing first this series, and it does make sense, even though Ariandel have a slightly better kill rate on this killer by about 13%. Nokron won the mirror matchup on Unknown in the regular season. So they're looking to make it 2-2 in Unknown sets, and with Bubbo going to second stage, that's looking increasingly more likely as time goes on.
Yeah, quite often when you get early downs, the kind of decision from the teams comes like, do we have enough progress to let Bubbo go second? I mean, it's as such an early down, they kind of have to answer with gens to take to get a bit more room for pressure. I mean, Zach is in a good spot right now because he's got an elimination kind of on the horizon at 3 gens remaining. And we saw the survivors, they're still pushing those gens, so they might even let like Bubbo die here. Zach doesn't seem very interested in leaving. He wants to secure this elimination, and I can't blame him given how fast that down was. I picked they're getting caught at the Shack pallet. It's gonna go in for the trades. And he doesn't get it! No, he doesn't get it! No, he's stuck in basement! That's absolutely the worst case scenario for IPIC and Ariandel survivors. Now what are they gonna do? They've got their third survivor going into the 3v1 in the basement. Both of their team pushing gens, and I honestly think that that's a bit of a disaster, Egdar.
There's nothing they can do except just pump out the last generators that they can, but Hardwell is going to be forced off his. I believe it's a teleport that comes out from Zaka to push Hardwell away from the generator he was working on. Swatter's going to complete it, and like, okay, what do we end up with here? Like a 4K2 maybe? 2 generators remaining. By Unknown standards, that is an exceptional killer performance. Unknown isn't a particularly deadly killer. Only 4K is about 38% of the time. On average, the survivors are able to complete minimum of 4 generators, generally all 5. Now, they're actually gonna be able to grab IPIC out of the basement, but he is still marked up with this weakened states effect, so it has to be very, very careful. Zaka gonna return back to the generator, just making good use of the TPs, placing them quite strategically in key locations. You know, there's going to be one by a gen, there's going to be several. I believe there are now 3 hallucinations in and around Shack, which can all be teleported to at will by Zaka in the near future. Every survivor is injured, and this is a killer which is really good at getting cheeky injuries on survivors. IPIC barely able to cleanse the weakened effect, before Zaka is able to damage him with it, so it gets reapplied. Pikz forced into the corner now. It is not a matter of if he goes down, it is a matter of when. No chance for any kind of smash hit play, with the Hypnotist Watch causing the exhaustion, meaning that there is nothing for Pikz to do. Credit to the survivors of Ariandel. They do complete the 4th generator, so they're not going to have the worst win condition possible. And Hardwell is actually working on the final generator in all this time. I'd be very impressed if anyone is able to escape from Ariandel, but they could complete the last gen, and they will.
It looks like the will, and that's Rancor. We still have Pikz slogged at the top of the map, and that gen was probably opposite side, so timing at least is working in Zaka's favor, but Swatter in chase, notoriously the man to carry his team in the later stages of the game, but the TP comes through, and it looks like, oh, I don't know if he gets this pickup in time. It's looking like a 4K0 Edgar based on what we're seeing. Gets the down onto gets the down onto Pikz, and that's going to be Hardwell chased down, and a 4K, you have to be happy with this, given that your team's average right now is 8 stages throughout the tournament on probably your most picked killer. To get a 4K in the first opening game of a bronze match final, I think Zaka is going to be so happy with that, especially given how strong his survivor side is.
Zaka's going to be happy with that, but I also think that Ariandel, given the latter end of things and how it ended, they're going to be relatively happy. They're going to be relatively happy, considering that they got down so quickly that they had 2 people actually go down in basement, and both of them were, or at least Bubbo initially was unable to be saved, and Pikz had to eat a hook stage in basement just to get saved eventually. It was a tough time. The fact they're able to crank out all the generators is a testament to their tenacity and their teamwork. But a 4K is a 4K. Zaka very much ahead of schedule. And speaking of ahead of schedule, we're going to bring in the analyst desk a little bit early as this match wraps up, and Zaka has a, well, specifically Pikz has a very bad time on the floor there, and sorry, Swatter has a very bad time on the floor there, and we're going to send it over to them, who are going to break down this series just a little bit.
Well, I'm not sure what resolution y'all are watching this in chat, but that does indeed look like a 4K to me. A great way to start things off here for Zaka. Again, some people do indeed still call him quite the monster. What's interesting is it felt like the survivors at time definitely making some right decisions. I mean, they were still able to crank out gens, sure. The big thing, though, is it felt like a huge mistake as far as being able to find 2 survivors in the basement. I'm kind of curious, what's your thought process? Should they have just let Bubbo hang for that 3rd stage there, Andrew?
So watching that back, the turning point was very, very clearly. We had Zaka gets the hook, runs over to the dump truck where we had Swatter working on that generator. We kicked the generator. Swatter communicated that for sure. What needed to happen was Hardwell was creeping towards basement. While we were kicking that generator, Hardwell needed to be down the ramp and getting the unhook. Unfortunately, was a little bit slower. Now, it's not always good to quick unhook, so I'm not saying it was a mistake, but the way things played out, kick comes in, teleport back. Hardwell then needed to either be unhooking or be stealthed. Instead, got caught out, found, M1'd. Hardwell can no longer get the save. We have to let Bubbo go to 2nd. Then you switch that up with Pikz going down the stairs. I took the hit in. It looks like we were camping off that last hook, the last stage on Bubbo. Pikz takes the M1. I think I missed exactly what happened, but I think must have staggered on the stairs, because I feel like you've got enough room after taking the M1 to get that. It was a split-second difference between getting the unhook and doing the trade or not. Going down in basement, yeah, that was devastating. Although, I'll let you guys talk about it. In the end, I think that there was some positives to be said for the survivors as well. But that was definitely a mistake on their part for that.
Definitely one of those things where you're still able to recover a bit, which talks to, I think, the abilities for the survivors to still be able to lock in, especially not allow for the big mistake to affect their mental. But before we pass this over, I did just want to remind you, Andrew, last time we talked, you said whoever won series or set number 1, and it's a pretty darn good
I'm paying attention, man. I'm aware. It's not. Listen. Let's not count Swatter out yet. But 4K0 is good. Let's not sugarcoat it. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Now, Metal Bro, I know we were talking about it a little bit here before when we were watching the end of it. I mean, the fact that they still got all gens done, you have to give a hats off to the survivors. I mean, get them all done. Are you happy with that, all things considered, or what's your head at?
Let me first start off by saying, wow, what an opening trial, Q. We saw, just the most dominant performance on the Unknown by Zaka. I mean, we had a very early first down coming in at 46 seconds. The fastest on Unknown is currently 38 seconds, I believe. So that was extremely close to record-breaking territory. Not only that, but we also had a basement hook, and we had a rotation for a save in the basement that was completely fumbled. But the survivors of Ariandel pushed through and were able to complete all 5 generators despite the absolute shenanigans that were happening in the background there. I mean, just what kind of odds are you faced against that you can pull through and turn such a huge dominant position for the opposing side into at least like a micro win for you? I mean, 4K0 is still really bad for you, but it is so much better than a 4K3 or 4K2. I mean, this is great how they were able to turn that around in their favor, at least a little bit.
Now, for maybe some of our viewers who haven't been able to hang on board for all of our series over the course of Friday and Saturday, since we are in our 3rd series of this matchup, it's interesting to find ourselves in a very similar situation than we have been in multiple times in the weekend, where one side goes out and puts up a very and what almost feels like unobtainable win condition, right? Just for all of a sudden we switch the sides, and then all of a sudden we're kind of talking about the greatness of the other team. So let's not count Swatter out just quite yet. But how is it going to require 2 basement hooks for Swatter to do the same thing here, Metal Bro?
It may not require that, but that would definitely be a benefit to Swatter for sure. But we also have to consider that Swatter is their resident unknown player. He's the guy on their team who spends a lot of time playing unknown, versus Zaka, who plays all killers for Team Nokron. Swatter specializes in unknown. So I think that gives him a bit of an advantage. He knows how the UVX works on a more in-depth level, I would think, because he spends a lot more time on the unknown. So I think that there's probably some thoughts going through Swatter's head at the moment about how to make this work in his favor. I think a basement hook would really benefit him, but it may not, depending on what the survivors do here and what kind of mistakes they may end up making. Swatter may not require a basement hook to succeed in this trial.
Andrew, you've been a believer in Swatter. You talked about a specialty. 20 seconds. You believe here or no?
I do believe. Listen, Unknown only has just over a 1/3 chance at statistically of getting a 4K, but Ariandel has 2/3 of them. Have 2/3 of their games getting 4K. If anybody can do it, Swatter can do it. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think this is likely, but it's not over. This is not over. Trust.
It feels like whoever wins set number 1 could very well take it all. Let's go ahead and send it back to Edgar and Zach and take another trip back into the fog.
Thank you very much, Analysts, for a breakdown of that game. And yeah, I think you're right. These teams are so competitive in general, but also just in their unknown performances. 4K0, great recovery by Ariandel, also a good performance by Zaka to close that one out. And now we have Swatter for Team Ariandel, taking Unknown for his team. And we see a bit of a different build. We had Rancor, Bamboozle, and Brutal last game. Now we have Brutal, Painrays, and Eruptions. So a bit more of a regression build here coming through. It's like a nice dodge out on the Shack for the UVX. It's going to give him some more time to run around the Shack, but doesn't actually make it. Going to opt for the filler pallet instead. Fabio also being spotted. We've got 2 survivors in the side of Swatter right now. So early on, this is a good amount of information for him coming into this, opting for the M1 after the double back from Bobo into him. And a nice early injury coming through. This could be an early down if he does this M2 properly. Doesn't. Vobbly paths away from the Shack, predicting that Swatter would try that. Good attempt from him, and now he cleanses the UVX. Does he have enough distance to make it around? No. Zaka's going to come in for a hit tank, though, and save him from death. And honestly, a good early game is what Nokron need right now if they want to take this home, I think. And that hit tank is really kind of testament to that, and maybe they're along the same lines. But yeah, a little bit of a slower early game. I mean, we had an insanely fast one last game, but 2 injuries for Swatter so early on. I think Edgar, he could be pretty happy about this.
Yeah, the first down is far more delayed for the time being. It seems like we're at a point where Vobo is eventually going to get caught out here. Even if you're able to dodge the UVX shot, you're forced to put yourself into a really awkward position, and Swatter can just follow up with an M1. So by general standards, that's not a terrible first down, 133, but that's bang on average. Recall that you can't afford to be average. You're playing for prize money. You're playing for a medal, right? So average simply ain't going to cut it anymore. And Bobo opening it up with an average first hook is not going to be particularly ideal. You can hear how... Sorry, not Bobo, Swatter. You can hear how progressed the generators are. So it seems like taking the hit tank, you would at least maybe assume, okay, well, someone had to come into hit tank, so maybe like there was some pressure relieved off the generator in that sense. But no, Nokron have been very on point with their gen efficiency, with the second one popping just now. Vobo is also not in the basement, unlike Zaka's first hook in the last match, so Swatter isn't able to as easily defend this, can't necessarily force a trade. Now, is scouting Ivan, who is coming along for the unhook regardless, is going to catch him out in this corner. Should eventually get the M1, but Ivan's able to buy a lot of time. In the meantime, someone else has been able to get the unhook onto Vobo, teleporting right back. You need to remove Vobo from the game immediately. That's the one slight benefit. Swatter's going to try and tunnel Vobo instead of camp, which, in theory, if you can get very quick chases on the tunnel out, is actually getting the elimination faster than camping out all 3 stages, like what Zaka did in the last set. You can see Marcos is being so irritating right now, just putting himself in Swat's face, saying, me, look at me, take the hit, I really want to be hit by your act, Mr. Unknown, but it's not going to happen. Bobo taking it to the corner before Marcos eventually finally draws enough of Swatter's attention, goes for a cheeky hit through the fun bus, is not going to be able to accomplish it. Now Bobo has gotten rid of the weakened status effect.
Oh my God.
Very awkward palette to play around, but Bobo's playing it perfectly.
Follow is having the chase of his life right now. Of course, it goes down as I say that, but still, like, playing these mind games. Also on the shack window, he didn't vault it. Just the insane patience. And right now for Nokron, just denying that elimination is going to be enough to set them up for that out that they need, right? To get all those gens done. Going in for hit tanks and protecting that elimination, preventing it, because getting the team into a 3v1 is really Swatter's best chance at getting that 4K, because of just how much Unknown could struggle in these the 4v1s. And nice dodge out from Zaka there. And he swings through the pallet. Swatter getting a little bit impatient, I feel like, in these chases, and it's eating up all of the time that he has. Does land UVX there, but comes in eventually. Does still have this pallet to play, though, and doubles back into it, and he goes for the M2 anyway, and I believe it's so close. He almost makes that pallet, but has to TP back, thinking for the rotation that comes through, but it doesn't look like anyone's actually close by. We are at 1 gen remaining, and Bobo still has some time before that elimination comes through. Looks like maybe they tried to unhook last minute, but yeah, preventing this 3v1 seems to be Nokron's priority right now, and I can't blame them.
And what I really like from Nokron there is that they're using hang time as much as possible. Remember, not necessarily recently, but that timer is now 70 seconds per stage, not 60. And you can make something out of that. Having someone on the hook is a valuable resource. When you know that the killer's going to go for a tunnel out, and there's not a ton you can do to stop it, you can try and delay it as much as possible. Wait until the 60th second before actually getting the unhook. Use the rest of your time while the killer is just proxying the hook, waiting for the tunnel out, to do things like progress the last generator, which Ivan and Zaka are going to be able to do. Doesn't even matter that Marcos is on the floor right now. Doesn't even matter that Zaka's injured. They just need to get someone out of here. They just need to get one person to that gate. They need to open it, and they need to leave. The moment that that is done, Nokron have made a solid start to this series, and they make a hell of a statement. They may have lost yesterday, they may be down, but they're not out yet.
Oh, it really depends how this chase goes with Ivan. If Swatter takes his time here, gets maybe an early down, but you know where that gate is. He picks up Marcos, so Swatter's got time here. He could potentially tie this. He has the UVX onto Ivan. There's no gate process to speak of. Oh, but they are resetting, so I mean that's gonna make it even harder. Interesting to see how this endgame plays out, but it's looking good for Nokron so far to get that out. We're taking chase over to closer to this gate. The rotation will come through after that reset is done. Ivan is going to go down this pallet, new ups for the UVX, because he does have enough distance for the safety. And he gets the pallet stun. That might be enough just to seal the deal for Nokron. Dodges out on the down two. This is an insane chase from Ivan, taking his team to the end. Is that Marcos off on the left-hand side? I think it was.
Well, this chase is right next to one of the exit gates. I can only assume that Zarka's been sent to the other one, because Marcos should not be here, for lack of a better term. I appreciate the attempt to save Ivan, but recognize your win con, just get anyone out. So, actually, in that case, I don't hate it. Even if the kill's around here, despite the fact that Unknown often physically can be, they can't actually be in two places at once, right? Now, Zarka's opened the gate, can literally just leave, and then you're fine. Again, this isn't a bad result for Swatter, but it's not a good enough result, and I think that's going to be the general trend of this series as it goes on, where you can be good, but you have to be good enough. You have to be even better. With that, we get Ariandel's 500th hook this season, and hook stage 3,500. 3,500 hook stages in total this entire season. We're going to send it over to the analysts, who are going to be breaking this series down and maybe telling us a little bit about the plague that we got coming up. So take it away, fellas.
It's kind of crazy, right? Because I feel like this performance for Swatter, if you hadn't had Zaka's if you hadn't had the performance before it, you would have been perfectly fine walking away with this. But Zaka able to do exactly able to Zaka came in, just had such a dominant performance that even despite this just isn't quite enough, which is quite interesting here, because I know we were hyping up Swatter. You look at it and you don't have the ability to walk away with a result that unfortunately gets you any points into the scoreboard. I guess one question for you though, Andrew. Walk me through a little bit as far as, Metal Bro, walk me through a little bit as far as your thoughts versus the camping out versus tunneling here for Swatter, and how that could have potentially changed things.
Absolutely. So, in the previous match with Zonka, we saw him camping basement, right? And you would be led to think that, getting a tunnel out can happen a lot quicker than getting a camp out, right? But the thing with Unknown is that he's very inconsistent in chase. Now, when I say this, keep in mind that I myself am an Unknown main. I love this guy. I love this killer. He's my favorite. But the reality is that his power is extremely high risk, high reward. He can be as strong as some of the strongest killers in the game, or he can completely fumble the bag and it not even be your fault. So one thing to keep in mind is that his chase is not the best. So camping out would have been a more solid strategy, in my opinion. Just because you can secure that kill on one survivor, and you can also ensure that if anyone comes in for a save, you at least get a trade, or you can completely deny it, like with iPick in the basement in the previous trial. It's a difficult position to be put in, and the nerves must have been flared a bit. So I completely understand Swatter's decision there, but it did not result in a win, unfortunately, and this is just how things go. This is the bronze finals. You're competing to be the best. These are the kind of decisions you're going to be put up against, and I feel like you should have camped out instead of tunneled.
Q, can I jump in there real quick?
I was going to ask your opinion on that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to jump in there too. I just want to say Swatter 9 hooks is above average. Swatter played perfectly fine. Zaka played well. That first chase on Bubba, I believe it was, right? The first chase on Bubba was extremely fast. That was the real skill expression in the last match. Everything after that was the survivors. The killer Zaka played good, but like the survivors made a mistake. The survivors then played well to recover from it, got to the 4K0. In this game, the survivors played solid, Swatter played solid, and that game went more by the textbook without any major mistakes on either side. And I think that's just the major difference was big mistake, whether forced or unforced error by the survivors of Ariandel, and Nokron played the game right, Swatter played the game right, and we resulted in 9 hooks, which is better than average, but still good for the survivors. I just wanted to throw that out there. I feel like it was entirely that one mistake was the difference maker, and nothing else really went. Everything else went according to plan, is kind of what I want to say. So
100%,
I mean,
Andrew.
I think even when you talk about pub games, let alone when you have the best of the best, when you have a quick down like that goes into basement, and then after that, give up a second person in the basement as well. It's just so hard to recover from that. It's even when you flip the sides, y'all said it, Swatter still had a great performance. So it will now be up to Ariandel to shift their focus over to set number 2, because it feels like losing one, you'll feel all right, but you lose back-to-back sets, then all of a sudden you're the one having to look down the barrel of that reverse sweep. So we will be off to the suffocation pit here next for the Plague. I'm kind of curious here, since as far as for the survivors, they're going to be the ones back out here looking to set the tone once more over on the side of Nokron. Andrew, what's the big thing that they're going to be having to test themselves on that's so different and unique here in this set compared to some of our other killers?
Plague is a really, really interesting set for 2 reasons. 1, the killer, and 2, the map. A Suffocation Pit is, again, one of those eye-shaped maps where you typically get a 3-1-3 split, where you get 3 gens on either end of the map with 1 in the middle, but that often doesn't necessarily go to plan. Sometimes you get them leaning in one direction or heavily in one direction. You could get a 5 gen. The other thing is that because Plague basically keeps you injured the entire match, it's really hard to unhook. There's a couple things you got to do on a good Plague set. 1, if you got someone working on, say, the main building side of the map, and they're if you have chase in the main building side of the map, you need to have somebody preferably healthy down that end of the map, stealthed out, making sure that they're in position that the moment the Plague leaves, they're able to get that save. Otherwise, Plague can hold down the middle of the map and prevent those unhooks. So you kind of got to almost work the buddy system sometimes and make sure you got 2 on either end of the map, at least at the very beginning. And 2, obviously, we're going to be spitting our Plague, spitting our gross green goo on all the generators. So survivors are going to be injured. The real question is how much can the survivors delay the downs? Because when the downs start coming in, if everybody's injured, you gotta cleanse in the pools. When you cleanse in the pools, you're giving Plague the power. When Plague has power, Plague is an extremely strong killer. Goes from a always injured Legion-esque type of player to I've got a explosive vomit coming at your face, and I can hit you over loops if I want to play the sprinkler thing. So there's a lot of technical play to a Plague set, and I think it's really going to come down to how the survivors tackle those specific situations I mentioned.
All right, well then, Meadow Bro, walk me through the mindset of Bobo as we're getting ready to load into trial number 3. What should we be expecting build-wise and then gameplay-wise as far as over on the Plague side?
Absolutely. Let's tackle the gameplay wise first, because there's an elephant in the room. Suffocation Pit spawns with a very high chance of a 3 or 4 gen spawning either on the top side or the bottom side, one of the two. But it's almost always guaranteed to spawn. It's very often. That being said, it's a really high point of contention for both sides to really want to tackle. As far as the build goes, we'll likely be seeing a lot of regression and slowdown just to really protect that 3 or 4 gen setup.
Let's go ahead and get down to it. We're off to the Suffocation Pit for the Plague, trial number 3. We'll go ahead and send it back to Edgar and Zach to take another trip back into the fog.
Thank you to the desk, and this is a set that these players play a damn lot of, to be honest. Put it bluntly, there are 3 teams who have picked Plague this season. Ariandel, Nokron are 2 of them. Ariandel have picked it 6 times, Nokron have picked it 4 times. In total, there's been 12. So both these teams make up for about 80% of all Plague sets that have been picked this season. So, Bobo's going to be opening it up. Thanatophobia. I'm more convinced on this perk for Plague more recently. Essentially, the concept was actually explained to me, and it makes a lot of sense. When you use the fan, you force survivors to cleanse. which is the one thing which they generally don't want to do, because that fourth person staying injured, it's such a detriment to have that constant last tick of slowdown that Thanatophobia offers for the entire team. So you force someone to cleanse, in turn giving Plague just more of her corrupt purge to work with and more of her power. Now we see a very common early game strategy from the survivors, which is just out stealth. With all of the non-corrupted gens being already infected, Bubbo meanwhile patrolling this side of the map to try and find some more people, the survivors don't want to work on any of them. You want to stave off the infection as long as humanly possible. Now Marco's been found out, so it's only a matter of time before he gets infected, and this starts a chain reaction. Now often we think about first downs, and of course we are going to consider that, as Marcos beautifully fakes that window just to bamboozle Bubbo a little bit. But the moment one person gets infected, it is a chain reaction. Everything comes crumbling down. First down time is very important, but also I'd argue for Plague, first infection time is also absurdly important. The moment that happens, everything just goes downhill for the survivors. So even though it is just Marcos infected on the other side of the map, the other three survivors know that they're going to have to deal with that eventually. Corrupt is finally going to be running out, so perhaps the uninfected survivors should be able to work on some of the uninfected generators for the time being. Meanwhile, Marcos is likely just going to be sent onto already infected gens.
Yeah, this is a rough early game for Bubbo. The Nokron survivors playing it really slow. Look at the urban evasion. Zaka hiding edge map. Marcos the only person who has been sighted and is already about 15% on a gen. That main building one was looking close too, but yeah, essentially denying Plague any form of early game setup is really like important for your survivor side, because you want to get as much progress as possible and try to also split those gens up and try to essentially split the map so that you can't be facing with like a 3-gen scenario, which is name of the game in Plague sets especially. It's honestly, I think, one of the more fun concepts to watch, and it's definitely, we talk about Direwolf's favorite too. It is always a really competitive set, especially when you have that chaotic endgame. But Marcos now taking chase, has the injury from the infection now. Is going to be facing that down, but it doesn't look like Bubbo wants to commit, wants to check on this top side. Has somewhat of a 5-gen, to be honest, has quite a lot of gens in this top side, so wouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised at the fact that he isn't committing down on that bot side, but see if we can find someone over here. Still no infections whatsoever on the side of these other 3 survivors, denying the Thanatophobia, but also just denying Bubbo any form of pressure. I have to kind of commend the survivor side of Nokron here to play this out slowly. Given the patience,
they're gonna have to. Because also, I want to pay attention to the add-ons real quick. What we have is the Blessed Apple. That's going to cause an extra corrupted pool of devotion to spawn in. So, of course, you get more use of the Corrupted Purge. But also, the Hematite Seal. That increases how long everything is infected by 30 seconds. That includes every individual gen that Bubbo is infecting. With 7 gens in the map, I was no good at maths, but that's an extra 3.5 minutes of gen infection time to be dealt with. And yeah, interestingly, Marcos decides to commit to that gen despite seeing Bubbo visually coming from around the corner. And that's a problem now, because all of these survivors which have avoided infection for so long, one of them's going to have to say Marcos, and then they're going to get infected. We still have no generators completed. This is the unfortunate reality of the Plague set, especially with the Hematite Seal being bought and the survivors' total unwillingness to even think about getting infected. Now, Bubbo did use one of the Corrupt Purge charges. Doesn't look like he's going to get any ounce of value from it, however. Marcos obviously went down to regular M1s. There was no need for Corrupt there, so that's going to be a Corrupt Purge with nothing on it, no effectiveness from that one. I do wonder who they're going to send for the unhook. And I think that the unfortunate thing is that when people do get infected, the game does speed up in that sense, because obviously, well, there's no reason for an infected person to not work on an infected generator. So now Zynox is going to be added to the shopping list of people who are allowed to work on the generators, Zaka and Ivan. Unfortunately, not cool enough to join that club yet. Nope, Zaka is cool enough to join that club, actually. It's just Ivan who they're going to try and leave uninfected to avoid the Thanatophobia proc.
Absolutely, Marcos still at this gen trying to finish it after getting that. I want to say a bit of greed from him to succumb that, because now look at the infections are starting to spread, and the game plan that they initially had is starting to fall apart. Playing this game a bit slower, but look, Xanax is just gonna go down. He just doesn't make it to any tile. I don't know whether like he could have played a bit safer there or passed somewhere a bit more like. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like these last two downs, maybe from the Nokron side, could have been avoided. Again, they conceded a bit more pressure than they needed to. Even given the strong early game they had, Zaka actually getting chased whilst he was collecting that corrupt purge through the main wall. And now this is a bit of a situation. We have an injured Zaka here, and the power is in play, so you could potentially end up with two survivors facing death here. Bobo gets the snipe. No, he doesn't want to go for it. Play the risk. Main building is, of course, the safest place to chase, but when it's next to the hook survivor, it's going to be quite bad, and Bobo is going to get some really good momentum coming through. The unhook comes through. Zaka dodging out on this corrupt peg really nicely. Oh, and he's crouching around this so perfectly. Oh my god.
What are these
patience needed from Zaka right now. Okay, he finally
God.
goes down, but how much power did Bobo have to use for that? That was insane play from Zaka now, and the team have got back on their feet a little bit.
It also allowed the unhook to come through. Corrupt Purge was basically about to end there. Now, now Bobo's going to go into the basement. Now, imagine if the Corrupt Purge was still up, but I suppose you did need it for the down onto Zaka. The survivors right now, Ivan can't get infected here because that would start a horrific chain reaction. And the way that it would go is Ivan gets infected, one of the survivors is forced to cleanse to stop the thanatophobia. Then that can be picked up by Bobo, who can use that to get a corrupt purge and then just camp the basement to death because you physically cannot save against a corrupt purge plague when she has basement control. Like, not as in, oh, well, you can't. No, you can't do it. No one can. So, we are actually going to be sending... It appears Marcos was sent for the unhook, or at least the tentative unhook. It's always a good idea, even if you suspect that the killer's hard camping, that you send someone, just anyone available, to try and go for the unhook. I also want to point attention to the fact that that isn't just a basement, that is an awful basement.
Oh god.
I mean, and Marcos is in a cage of his own making in the corner over there.
Really bad.
Ivan's infected. They've sent Ivan in to get the unhook. Now, Boa doesn't have corrupt, so it's maybe there's a chance that they both escape. Ivan's being body blocked and continually infected. The odds aren't looking good.
Yeah, this car just fell apart. Marcos just taking the down there again. That's the second. He's not having a great game really, but like Ivan goes in there, has to unhook Zaka, and now we've got basically two slugs in the middle of a 5-gen. Yeah, over the two survivors are injured, no hope for really saving each other, and yeah, this is a disaster. This is 4K3 territory. I honestly, like, we've gone from a nice patient early game with no real pressure to just the game completely falling apart in the space of like, I don't know, like a whole minute. They do get the pickup, but look at this party going on at main building. 3 survivors here. Nokron have to really fight to get this game back on the back on track. Zaka's gonna go down, and this is messy. Edgar, this is really, really bad, and I think that the Ariandel killer result is really going to put pressure on Zaka if it's going at this pace.
Zynox is also working on like the riskiest gen imaginable in all this time. What I'm thinking right now for Nokron is play for the win con, just bully out any generators that you can, but do it like on the other side of the map where the killer is not. Like working on this one where the killer is.
They popped the 2 gens that were over there. And now they're in the 5-gen.
And even further ones. Oh yeah, they're in a 5-gen. There's nothing they can do.
Line.
Okay.
Like, it's literally like a fortress line of gens, and then you have 2 deep gens where the basement hook is. This is absolute nightmare fuel for the survivors, and I just don't see a vision where they get started, especially with Thanaphobia as well. Slowing it down 20%. What do they do here? This is so hard to get out of. You have to kind of just let Zaka die here in the hopes of maybe getting one of these gens done.
Ivan immediately got rid of an infection and immediately got infected again. It looks like they want to send Ivan to save Zaka, which could happen here. I think it is going to happen, actually. Maybe Ivan has to trade for it, but Zaka gets to live at least a little bit longer. Ivan infected in basement. You might as well put him on a hook. You're not exactly going to lose anything. You got the eruption proc for free off that. It's Ivan's first hook, but you're just playing for gens right now. You're playing to try and eke out anything you can, maybe get to a 4K2, a 4K1 in an absolute miracle scenario. Ivan also losing the infection in one of the most, right where all the gens are, one of the most densely populated regions of the map. This is a tough one. Ivan, now the 4th survivor with 100 hook stages in this tournament. It's it's a somewhat of an unenviable title. They are able to bully out one of these 2 deep generators. So 4K2 territory, maybe push it into a 4K1. Note that Bobo does still have the corrupt purge up and is going to have even more with Zaka cleansing that time. Firecracker, it's just for show at the end of the day.
But honestly, like, I didn't think that the survivors had done anything, but like these 2 far gens in this 5-gen are actually so far. The progress is crazy. If Bobo slips up here or overextends just a little bit, I think Nokron actually have a chance of running over this. Marcus needs to survive it. Misses out on that one, but is going to go down. No, he dodges out a second time. Ivan's going to go second stage, and Zaka is the only one left standing for the team. Either trying to push out for that 4K1 or going for the save onto Ivan. Would have the distance to do so, given that Bobo pushed Marcos off of that gen. Took a little bit of extra time to do it, but are there any scratch marks? There is, yes. So he goes for the save, and Corrupt Purge has run out. So Zaka is injured. Ivan trying to get out of basement, and nice. Zaka gets the body block. That's huge right now. Ivan makes it out. Zaka makes it out. The game is still alive, but someone is going to be collected for basement here. Is it going to be? Yeah, Zynox is going to be carried over there. We have our survivors in view, but he's gonna, instead of opting for basement, he hooks here next to this gen. I do like this decision from Bobo now, because he shuts down that gen that they had progress on, and essentially he's stalled out the game and is conserving that 4K2.
Quicker as well, quicker than draining into basement. There's no reason to in a sense like this. You have such a firm grasp over the game. It would just be a waste of time to spend the extra 10-15 seconds to get the basement hook. It's not even guaranteed, because as I said earlier, that's not basement, that is like ultra basement.
It is, especially on this map. It just feels like there
is no hope in hell of anyone actually being able to leave there.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Zach.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's fine. No, we're having a conversation, right? It's definitely like really what Nokron can get from the situation, because or any hope of an escape right now is probably just gone, right? So it's about once this elimination comes through, whether they can answer that with maybe a 4th gen, maybe play for the 4K1. I guess if you're Nokron, you're trying to play safe and trying to set yourself up for a good result next game. They are cleansing now. Not opting to stay injured. Oh, they do. It does look like we're the same, but they have time. Oh, he doesn't interrupt it in time. Zaka injured as well, because he did cleanse. The double save coming in there, and they managed to stay in the 4v1 after having 2 survivors hugged basically right next to each other. What a play from Nokron there to actually try and remain in this game. I have to commend them how bad it's looked the past like 5 to 6 minutes. They're holding on masterfully. Like I honestly don't know. It is looking doomed, but they just keep pulling back, and in every scenario they seem to be making the best play.
Yeah, it turns out there's a tricky little secret to this game. Make the best play every single time without fail, and you end up winning. Who would have thought? Now, Bobo has another Corrupt Purge, is going to try and get, but Zaka's been able to elude him. Every single time Bobo's actually gone for a use of the Corrupt, Zaka's just somehow miraculously been able to Matrix dodge his way out of it, and a 4th gen is completed. Okay, look, you see how disgusting the 3 gen is. Look, I know that I said they don't get better than 4K3, and then I said they don't get better than 4K2, and now they're at 4K1. I'm gonna say they don't get 4K0. But, like, they're in a disgusting 3 gen setup. Everyone is still injured. I just don't see a vision that they complete the last gen, unless Bobo gets far too greedy in this chase.
I think we need to shut up about these gems because they're just gonna. I honestly think that they actually might pop it. Like, I don't know, and because this is stressful. It was looking completely over from my point of view, but they've stayed in the 4v1. They actually have a split map. Okay, that's Zaka going down now on that gen, but they still have that far one. If Bobo opts to hook here, could we see that last gen being done? Oh, it's half, actually. Ooh, I don't know. With Fanner, at least. That's Zaka going to be dead now. They are tripling it, though. They are tripling it. Ivan rotates. And, yeah, it doesn't look like they can commit to that. Doesn't look like they get it done. So it's either going to be super, super close. A bit of a spectator bug there. There is a killer roaming around the map somewhere, but we don't know where it is. Both gens are at 50%. Now they have to play this really slow. They do have the full distance on the stretch of this top side, so it's not like we're kind of in a triangular form. It's all along that line. So at least for these last 3 gens, the split is going to be, you know, a lot of distance for Bobo to cover if they are deciding to split these. But the progress wasn't as far as it got earlier. I think that gen was very close. It was about 80 or 90, and now it's gone down to 50. So Bobo does have time. This is going to be a slow trial now. Ivan taking as much distance as he can into the corner of the map. Every second counts now. Any inch of distance that they can make to give time for the progression to pop that last gen is going to be Nokron's priority right now. Ivan playing that edge map nicely, and it looks like they are at 60%. Eruption does proc, and Ivan is getting slug, so Bobo making his way over. Nice inner focus value there on the aura reading for Zynox. And opts to stick it, actually. Looks like Bobo's going to defend it, though. Marcos kind of stuck at these logs here. Does he make enough distance? Has some pallets in the corner. Zynox rotating.
He's the Windows player as well, so like, in a sense, because there aren't many exhaustion perks on the field, he's the safest player because he knows exactly where he can run, just to make sure that he's not caught off guard, regardless of wherever Bobo tries to come from. Marcos can just kind of invent that plan. Call a Brine, finding its value here. Ivan got picked up in the corner, so slugging didn't quite work out in that sense, but it did draw Zynox away. And of course, now, yeah, 3 survivors split on these 2 generators. They're just trying to eke out whatever they can. No, didn't kick that, actually. Just kind of trying to maybe psych out the survivors on the other generator. The progress on that one seeming decent. The problem is, like, so this gen by the logs here, you're relatively safe. Obviously, there's a jungle gym right next to you on the south side, and then on the north side, you have a couple of filler pallets to work with as well. The jungle gym obviously doesn't have a pallet next to it, but of course that leads into the general central area of the map, the one which is very condensed with tiles. Meanwhile, over on the top side, you still have all those fillers to be working with. And has Bobo hit the regression limit on that gen? I think that's the only explanation as to why I can't get... I actually need to just shut up about the gens.
That's what I was saying.
I'm never saying anything. I'm never saying anything about, oh no, it's a 4K3 or 4K2 again. Because they complete every gen! What the hell is this?
Oh my god, how do they go from basement hooks in a 5 gen to completing all gens and facing outs? That's absolutely outrageous. And
in a 3 gen. In a 3 gen as well.
Yeah, of course. Like, I guess they're just locked in. That's really the only thing.
It's called Aura, kid. You wouldn't get it.
How many stages can they get out the door, though? I guess is our next question. Oh, and he doesn't get that gate in time. Ivan now stuck at this loop, and I believe Ivan is worth the most amount of stages. Nice dodge out, but we'll take the M1. But wow, what a comeback from Nokron after that really shaky like mid game. We had a bit of a slow early game, a few mistakes that set them back a lot, and actually gave Bobo so much time. They're not able to get that gate. That one was fairly 99. Yeah, they're gonna finish that gate and open it.
Can they pick
Do
up
they get
Ivan
the pick
here?
up Ivan? Oh, I don't know if there's enough aggression. He is gonna crawl out and opt for the pick. But wow, 2 survivors out the door potentially. There is a hook right here. He still has some corrupt purge. I honestly don't want to call it unless Marcos is on that other gate. Oh,
Depends what Marcos is doing. Oh,
yeah, he's on the other
sorry,
gate.
yeah,
Zynox.
Zynox. Yeah, Zynox, yeah. Marcos is sitting in that other gate. But Zynox
Is that 9
opens the other
stages?
one. Gets out. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
That, I mean,
You know what?
whatever number of stage it was, it should have been a 4K. Simple as that. It should have been a 4K. But, like, it just wasn't. Goodness gracious. I'm sure the analysts, who we'll be going over to right now, have a lot to say about that one. What did we think, fellas?
Well, first off, I got to figure out what the pre-trial ritual is with RNGesus to be able to get a gen spawn like that, because goodness gracious, talk about being able to have a lot at your disposal. And it even felt like on top of that, we did see Bobo was able to do quite a bit more than just simply relying on the RNG. I mean, Metal Bro, despite that maybe feeling like it slipped towards the end, the front half of this trial, a great job by Bobo, no?
I would definitely have to say that there were multiple times this match where it was almost a guaranteed 4K. There were multiple times. You could look at the screen, right, and you could see, oh look, there's 2 survivors down. Look back, now they're all up. Look away, they're up. We have 2 survivors down again. Look away, they're all back up. I mean, Nokron's recovery was really good, but I want to talk about. I think that there was a bit of a misplay when we decided to hook outside of basement at one point. There was a point where hooking in basement was just back to back to back, and then Bubba decided, let me hook outside of basement. I think that was not a good call. That was a huge point of contention for Bubba, and the survivors were definitely struggling with that. But hooking outside of basement, I think, really dropped the ball there. That being said, I mean, he had a disgusting 3-gen, but reaching the kick limit, just not good for you at all.
It's kind of funny being able to be 10 minutes ahead and looking at DBDLeague's Twitch chat right now and seeing all these people talking about how impossible this 5-gen is. They might as well just cash it in. But they're able to get stages out the door. Andrew, what happened?
So sorry, Rob, I gotta disagree with you a little bit. I think that hook was great. In fact, I was saying in the behind the scenes, we walked Zynox all the way over to that the logs hook there. We clicked away and clicked back. Marcos was working on the generator, was in the jungle gym there, I guess. We didn't even see the down coming because it was so quick. And then we've got another hook right there. I think that was fantastic. I think that was the right move. If you're guarding basement and you're not guarding the generators, I think that was the right move. I don't even really I watched the entire thing. I don't really understand how it happened. I think that Bubbo got a little tried to bite off a little bit more than he could chew. Was trying to get a 3rd down. We had camped out those 2 hooks, particularly Zynox was getting inching closer and closer to death. The unhook comes in and trying to defend both hooks, we let both hooks get unhooked. I think at that point, if you just face cap Zynox, get Zynox out of the map. I think the problem was we were looking at a 4K3 and then a 4K2 and then maybe a 4K1. And because it's that sort of sunk cost feeling of like, well, I have to get the 4K. I have to get 4K3. I have to get 4K2. I have to. And you gave it all up because you were trying to, you had an image in your head of what should happen and you let go of what was happening. And what was happening, get Zynox out of the game. Let them try to recover. Go at that 3v1 when there's still 2 gens active and work at it from there. I think that was an unfortunate. I as killers, you kind of it's the same thing where Ivan almost got out the door there at the end. I was holding my breath. I was like, don't go to that other door and let Ivan get picked up. Obviously, you feel like you need more, and sometimes you lose more because you expect to get. You expect more than what you're getting. I think that Bubble fell for that, unfortunately, and I think the end result was that should have been a 4K2 probably pretty easily, and instead we got 10 hooks. We got two 1 hook out the door. So very heartbreaking for Ariandel fans. Very exciting for Nokron fans.
Well, do keep in mind that the average is a little bit short of 9 hook stages, right? 8.7. So still ahead of that. So maybe, just maybe the 10 stages happens to be enough. We talked about the chance that it could have been a higher line, maybe that 4K2. And well, we always have the ability to make it sound a whole lot easier than it truly is when we're up here in the booth. So there's only one thing that we can truly do. How about this? We switch sides and we get ready to take it back out into the fog. We're going to go ahead and put Zaka out here on the killer. We're going to go ahead and send our other team of survivors, Bubbo, Excise, Hardwell, and Swatter, see if they can come on out here and find a way to get more than 2 stages out the door. It's going to be quite the challenge for sure, but hey, this is the bronze matchup for a reason. Let's go ahead and get ready to load in for trial number 4 and take another trip back into the fog.
The end of this trial is either going to be Bubbo wiping the biggest bead of sweat off his forehead imaginable, or it's going to be him literally kicking himself. Here's the thing about 10 stages. The average number on Plague is like 8.7, so between 8 and 9 stages. 10 stages is still pretty good. It's pretty good. But what's the thing that I've said over and over again, Mr. Zachary? Being pretty good isn't good enough to get yourself on the podium. You have to be flawless. You have to be perfect. And we mention all these stats about, you know, okay, sure, Plague only 4Ks 1/3 of the time, but if you're looking to be the best, you have to be in that 1/3, to be honest. You got to be in the top 4 for damn sure. So we're going to be seeing exactly if Zaka is able to bounce back here for Nokron, secure ourselves 11 stages or just a 4K. And to be honest, I find the concept of 11 stages and not a 4K pretty strange. So we're going to go with Zaka getting a 4K here. Doesn't matter how many gens are done. If Zaka can 4K, then Nokron get another notch in their belt in this series. They put themselves on match point. They put themselves very close to the top. This is trial number 400 of the season. We said that Season X would be our biggest ever season, and goddamn, we meant it. Season 9 only had 276 trials in total. We're on trial number 400, and we're not even done yet. Bubbo eats a very quick infection and a very quick injury in comparison to what Nokron survivors were able to do and delay. Now, we have to look at how quickly Bubbo goes down. The first down for Bubbo when he was on the Plague last time was 4 minutes, 16 seconds. This down going to come in far, far earlier than that. 1 minute, 12 seconds. Remember, the Plague average downtime sits at about the 3-minute mark, 3:10 to be specific. So that is a diabolical performance. 2 minutes better than average, 3 minutes better than what Ariandel were able to muster. Nokron already look to be in a spectacular spot. And as I said, this is also going to force the infections to start earlier. It seems like Hardwell's coming in for the save here, and it's just going to kind of force a chain reaction. Bubbo in a very prime position to actually get tunneled out here, but is going to make the center of the map.
Yeah, I'd expect a hit time to come in if he's not got enough distance, at least for him to make the bot side, because we've seen such an insane 4-gen on that top side. I'm excited to see if he can get this early elimination. It's going to set him up for success so hard. He's got that eruption in play and the Thanatophobia. Obviously that early chase that came through as a bit of a silver lining for the survivors, at least means that they're not getting the pressure of the infections. That is Swatter now getting infected on that gen that was thrown up on, but yeah, taking in the power, trying to find Bubbo. Bubbo should be finding Bubbo should be his priority, and he does. He finds him at this filler pallet. At least, at the very least, has the has him on the better side of the map. You don't want to be dying in that bot side so early on. Oh, and he gets him. That's eruption procced, and now we've got a second stage flashlight save. No one's there, unfortunately. And this is going to be a stack of pain res on that gen that they were working on so much in the early game. Does he get it in time? What a clutch moment there, getting the pain res on that gen, erasing basically all of the progress that Ariandel have done so far, at least on this bot side. Oh, when he tried to go for a sneaky little corrupt purge, Swatter dodging out so nicely. Swatter is the only infected and injured one, so going down here would be devastating.
Makes
And
him vulnerable.
Edgar, such an insane early game for Zaka here. Just what he needs to try and get maybe a 4K out the door. But Ariandel, they are formidable in the survivor performance.
This exceptional thus far, and I can't see Swatter being able to survive much longer in the chase here. Now, Zaka actually assisted by the purple add-on, the Devotee's Amulet. So instead of the Hematite Seal that we saw from Bubbo to get the 30 seconds increase kind of infection time on the generators and everything infected, to be honest. Instead, the Corrupt Purge lasts 20 seconds longer. You combine that with the Green Apple add-on, of course, to make another Corrupted Pool spawn in. That means that you get your power more often and you get to use it more and for longer in chase. It's a more aggressive style. You're not actually prioritizing the infections, and to be honest, I like it. It makes sense because I think against a very strong Plague, you're gonna get infected anyway. You don't actually have to worry about spending all of your time puking gens. Obviously, that's not to say that you don't infect objects, that you don't try and get the survivors infected, but to be honest, you just kind of let it happen as a byproduct of your natural killer flow, which is patrolling gens, regressing them, and winning your chases as quickly as possible. There is no better slowdown than simply getting the survivors on the floor and putting them on the hook. The infections, that's just going to happen in the background. It's going to force Excise into an odd position, because of course he's going to have to stay uninfected for as long as possible to stop that last tick of Thanatophobia coming in. Right now, things look good for Zaka, but remember, Bubbo also had a spectacular early game last time, and the Nokron survivors were able to recover it, but they're not going to be able to recover from that one. You get covered in red and you get dead, Swatter. That's how it works in this realm.
Oh, dude, that's gotta feel so good for Zaka just hitting that. Like, getting the M2 over the window, like, that just shouldn't happen. Like, Swatter just being impatient there, sending it past the window, trying to get into a better position for death, and Zaka just completely reads it. Yeah, opting for a bit of an unsafe route, and now Swatter's facing elimination on top of Bubbo as well, both on second stage at 4 gens left. I kind of like the idea that Zaka's just kind of abandoned that. What was the 4 gen, well, it still is kind of on the bot side to go for these stages, and can't blame him now. He's got 2 survivors on elimination, and I do wonder what progress we have for Ariandel in response to this. He's sort of just kind of like, you know, the positional fiasco we had last game. It's kind of playing out differently, and Zaka's just trying to adapt a little bit. Oh, does find Excise here. Isn't infected though, the only healthy survivor neutralizing that Thanatophobia is going to go in for the trade, but this will be a pain res if Zaka opts to take it. I am going to assume though that he wants that 3v1 as fast as possible. Swatter now makes basically no distance, is going to be stuck at this tile, does have a few things to work with in the middle of the map, is at the TNL working on those check spots. And Swatter again, time to put his team on his back. Oh, but the pathing's not it. He might not make it. Yeah, he doesn't make this path. This is going to be Swatter going down, eliminated. We still have Excise on the floor too, unless someone is here for a pallet save. Doesn't look like it. So we are going to be seeing a death at 3 gens Egdar. Excise now being picked up, and that confirms to Zaka 2 survivors, both injured in this area. Zaka's looking good to take this set.
Zaka's looking good. Zaka's looking utterly exceptional right now. Just really aggressive, strong killer play. I like the style. Mostly from a spectator perspective, from a tactical analysis, to be honest. I just prefer how aggressive he's playing, how he's letting the regression take care of itself for him, while he just gets really good chases and is able to work on his fundamentals. Remember that, obviously, with Plague, you want to go for infection, get everyone in, and the Corrupt Purge is obviously a great benefit. But you can also rely on just good old-fashioned M1 killer fundamentals. That is what we saw, outplaying Swatter at the TNL while forcing him to leave at the wrong time, and that meant that Zaka was able to catch up before he was able to make it to the pallet. And yeah, why not just fall back on that when things get a little bit tricky? 3rd generator going to be popped. You're down, but you're not out yet. for the Ariandel survivors. Zaka going to pull off a cheeky mind game here. Although playing exceptionally patiently. Can afford to do so when the pallet is still in play at this jungle gym. But eventually is going to be forced into this corner of the map. Now, the good thing is that this side of the map basically has not been touched for the entirety of this game. I don't believe that any of the initial chases have actually taken place here. So, Bubbo still has a lot to work with. If he's able to play this tile properly, he should be able to chain it into main building, but he greeds it and gets punished for it. Zaka does not respect the survivors, and he sure as hell ain't going to be respecting you.
Oh, do we lose Egdar?
No, I'm right here.
Oh,
so,
no.
Maybe for a second. Maybe for a second.
You cut out at the end of your sentence.
I probably got excited and peaked. I do apologize, but the point is, greedy play from Bubbo. Unfortunately, not paying off. Hardwell is screwed here.
Yeah, and he's not even gonna make the pallet. In the 2v1, 2 gens remaining. It's looking like a 4K2, and Zaka is on form today. Nokron looking to take this 2-0 coming into this best of 5. Ariandel already on match point, and wow, Nokron are going to be feeling good. The momentum is totally in their court right now. And Egdar, I for one am excited, especially because we've seen 2 best of 5s in these teams. Can Ariandel bring it back? They've got 2 sets to do it, and they cannot let the next one go. Exile is going to be finishing that gen, but what for? Unfortunately, kind of just revealing his location. He is injured and just running into him to say, it's over, just kill me, let's move on. And wow, what an absolute banger of a set. Such a strong early game from Zaka, but before I guess I get too much into it, why don't we let our analysts give a bit of a breakdown on what went wrong for Ariandel this set, and maybe talk a little bit about what's coming up.
Talk about a performance here. I mean, we had talked about 10 hooks was still a pretty darn good performance. Zaka comes out and is able to establish the 4K and is able to, I mean, just continue the dominance here for Nokron, right? Now 2 sets up, 1 set away. I mean, I think there's a lot we could talk about, but real quick here, I just want one quick analysis from you. Andrew, tell me a little bit as far as your opinion on the greed on that chase in the back by Bobo. Last hook and you're greeting around the pallet, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's hindsight's 2020, right? Like, what are you gonna do? If you don't greet a pallet, you can get mind gamed around it. But I mean, given the strength of the pallet, I don't. On Death Hook, you're already a 3v1, and now you're on Death Hook, and you're injured, obviously, being broken. You're 1 hit away from basically ending the match. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to come down too hard, but this is looking very definitively Zaka. I don't know if it's a mental game, right? Bubbo, keep in mind, it was Bubbo. What happened 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago? Bubbo lost a massive lead and ended up getting 10 hooks when it should have been a 4K. So I don't know if the mental's coming into play, but we all know that definitely is something that happens. And the amount of pressure on these players is double for Zaka and Bubbo, particularly Bubbo right now, because Bubbo's on the losing end of a couple matches. So yeah, I would say that maybe a little bit of mental fatigue, or maybe just overzealous performance, but I would throw the pallet.
Well, we could talk about it a lot, make it sound easy up here. The reality is, no matter what the decision would have been, all we can say is, as for now, it's 2-0 in favor of Nokron. We could very well be heading into our last set of this bronze matchup here for the weekend. So it's going to be time here now for Ariandel to want to lock in. And, you know, we've got a lot of money on the line this weekend. It's an extra $500 between these two. Obviously, a bigger prize pool for our grand finals matchup. And a lot of that is thanks to the support from the community. Yeah, we're supported by behavior, but not necessarily financially. So when we look forward towards lands and things, I mean, everything that we're able to put on is thanks to you. 2 sets down, and we could very well be going into our last set of this bronze matchup here. The Lish Vecna on Grim Pantry. And, you know, the way things go as far as the snake draft sort of order, it does mean that our survivors from Ariandel are going to have to be the ones to come out here and set the tone. So, Metal Bro, tell me a little bit about what these survivors are going to have to do in order to set that unbeatable win con here.
Right. So a couple things to keep in mind when playing against the Lich, especially on the Grim Pantry, is the fact that there are a lot of elevation differences for the Lich to be able to use his Flight of the Damned to a better degree than normal, just because the elevation really is the make or break for landing a hit, like almost guaranteed or not. And also, you have that really disgusting main building that survivors can really run for quite some time. That being said, I mean, the survivors definitely of Ariandel definitely have a huge task on their shoulders here for this next match. They don't want to lose this matchup 3 matches in with a 3-0 for Nokron, but at the same time, this is time to lock in for Ariandel. We have a lot of believers in the chat, and this is the bronze finals, guys. You have an opportunity here to really set a huge standard going forward that you are not one to be trifled with, right? But either way, a very difficult position to be put in for Ariandel.
Well, they don't call Zaka the monster for no reason. Andrew, tell me what Zaka's going to have to do here to be able to put up a win con that will allow for Nokron to walk away with a sweep.
Vecna is a weak killer on a strong map here. This is like Rob was saying, with the elevation changes, you can get skeleton hits really easily. Also, with the recent buffs to Vecna, we got a longer and faster fly, along with more consistency around the mage hand. Zaka, if Zaka puts up a very strong result here, like we've seen a 4K5 this season, and we've also seen plenty of outs. I haven't had too many. I think we've only had about 14 Lich trials. But if we see a very strong Zaka match, I think this might be the last nail in the coffin for Ariandel. Zaka's going to come out strong. And again, I talked about this right at the very beginning. We're loading in, so I got one more thing real quick. This has been a very, very momentum-based season for Zaka, and the momentum is behind them right now. So I think this is Zaka's game to lose.
Yeah, it feels like it's got to be now or never for both of these teams. Obviously for Ariandel, but especially too, you mentioned sometimes the vibes, once they start to fall, they really seem to go down the slope. So for Nokron, they've got to move with a sense of urgency. Zaka going to be taking out here on the Vecna to start things off. Let's go off to the Grim Pantry and take another trip back into the fog.
Thank you, Analysts. Yes, Zaka right now with the series in his hands. Can he set the standard for a good result to make Ariandel kind of struggle in this third match? But the Lich, definitely one of the weaker killers in the tournament, to be honest. Not one you really typically expect high results for, so maybe closing it out could start with a decent early game. We use our fly. Oh, getting stuck on the chest there a little bit, and actually maybe smells a survivor up in this corner. See some scratch marks behind the pantry here. Smelling a bit of a survivor lurking around, but that's good. Finding a survivor early. So immediately off the back of his first flight, it's going to be Swatter taking chase to main building. Is there enough distance here for a early hit? Yeah, he's going to use the skeletons. Oh, and he dodges it out nicely, but it's going to be answered with an M1. The flights of the dam's used, but not taken advantage of. Now we have the fly. And then he gets back into the locker. Oh, no. No, you cannot ask for a worse start on the survivor side. That is awful. Who put the locker next to the window, man? Who decided that? Egdar. If you're Zaka right now, that's got to feel good.
I mean, look, I've been a survivor in that exact same situation, trying to vault that exact same window and also getting vacuumed into the locker. And I think I've done it queuing with the DBDL staff and just molding and screaming the entire time. It's been a wondrous experience, but that's a spectacular first down, 52 seconds coming in, which is above the Lich average time of, I believe it's 117, so it's not a lot above average, but obviously we are playing with slim margins. 25 seconds can make all the difference. Zaka not quite able to find iPick there before he's able to drop the pallet. So instead, we see Zaka maneuvering back over to this basement hook onto Swatter. Of course, this is a weird one for basement. It's not particularly easy for Zaka to get to, but that also means that it's not going to be particularly easy for the survivors to get to as well, to be completely honest. So it's a tough start. for the survivors of Ariandel, but while Swatter is in the basement, they are at least just focusing on the generators. They're able to pump 2 out at the start of the match, and it seems like they're actually making a pretty decent dent into these other ones as well. They've accepted, seemingly, that Swatter's going to second stage, and Zaka kind of agrees with that. Thinks, I'll stick to Swatter for second. I'm not sure how heavily he'll defend it. He might occasionally send a Dispelling Sphere down there just to check on if anyone is coming for that rescue. Of course, the survivor's not going to be allowed any items, so they're not going to be able to see that coming. They are just going to be caught with it if they are in its radius. But so far, no one coming for the save. Everyone's still split on the generators. I wonder if they just let Swatter die here. It certainly seems like it. Bubba and Hardwell, and iPick actually, don't seem all that interested in getting off their gens. Well, iPick's thinking about it, but there's a killer like 5 seconds away from him, so it makes sense that he's a tad hesitant.
Yeah, I felt like if you're Zach and you commit to a chase, then you kind of risk potentially getting a survivor dead. But Ariandel are basically forcing Zaka to choose. Either you camp this out and lose all your gens, or you push one of us off and maybe risk going or staying in the 4v1. I do like the decision making. Also, kind of, it makes up for the quick chase that Swatter had. Yeah, look, he's gonna die. And we have Hardwell about to pop one. Ooh, start out, just managing to miss out on the injury there. Hardwell's going to pop one. Bobo's about 60% of the way, and then the chase is going on the 3rd gen. Like, we'll just have to see how quick Zach can get this down, but he is at a strong area, and this is going to loop into Shack 2. We're going to use Fly to potentially block and zone iPick away. Yeah, this is going to be... Oh no, the pallet, I didn't actually spot it there. It was on the right side, and look at this setup.
Bobo and Hardwell are going to complete the last 2 gens.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, Hardwell could rotate for the one that iPick was on, but Zaka just leaves iPick. And I mean, like, we're at 3 stages, almost facing endgame. What was looking like a good early game, the game is almost basically over with the speed run on the generators. Yeah, iPick has gotten back onto his now. Hardwell's about to pop one. And I feel like they're maybe holding on to these gens to kind of pull the wall over Zaka's eyes. Injury's going to come through there, and we're about to be in endgame any second now. Yeah, he's waiting to pop this. I do wonder what they're trying to plan here.
Yeah, can't say I was certain. I can't say I was certain. Hopefully someone with a slightly larger brain than I is going to be able to say exactly what was being waited for. But the point is, all the gens are done. They're done in record time. Swatter dies. So the issue here is that Bubbo's injured by Shack. And, well, I was going to say that there's no one to actually come through, take a hit. So, looks like it's just going to be 6 stages gained, unless iPick and Hardwell want to save this one. Looking at the spots of the exit gates, that doesn't seem particularly possible. We saw how iPick was progressing on the very furthest away exit gate, so it seems like iPick and Hardwell should be leaving with their 6 stages out the door. Lich, on average, able to generally do a little bit better than that. 7.9 hook stages per game, round it up to 8 if you're feeling generous. So Zaka definitely below average performance here. Even with a very early first down and a camp out in the basement onto Swatter, still only 6 stages, which is a little bit disappointing. So the thoughts of that Elysium clean sweep finals, we might have to put that on hold. We're going to send it over to the analysts, who are going to maybe tell us a little bit more about what went on in that series.
Well, oh my goodness me, blink and you'll miss it. Talk about crazy. I mean, we saw a very early down with the unfortunate down in the locker. It looked like maybe the tides were going to continue to turn in the favor for Zaka. And then all of a sudden, the survivors for Ariandel, who we had talked about at ad nauseum yesterday during the bronze matchup, how their survivors doing such a great job of being able to control the pace of the game, able to do so. One thing I couldn't help but notice, though, Metal Bro, was when we were talking as far as when you look at the build, unfortunately, Zaka just got no value.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it and you notice that we brought a pretty intense slowdown build here, right? With especially notably here, Eruption and Pain Resonance, right? 2 very strong slowdown perks in this build that Zaka brought in, and they just both got 0 value the entire match. I mean, the first down on Swatter happened in main building where the basement was, so obviously basement was a strong hook to take, but no pain resonance down there unless you have Monster's Shrine, but that's not in play this match. So that being said, taking that basement hook was definitely a good decision, but it led to 0 pain resonance value, so Ariandel was able to just sit on gens. And not only that, but they also made the very smart decision of working gens and forcing Zaka to have to choose between camping the basement hook or protecting the generators. And I mean, obviously Zaka chose to protect the basement hook instead of camping the generators, or vice versa. So that led to just all 5 generators just getting slammed out of the match. I mean, if I were Zaka, I'd be preparing my minus reps on Ariandel's profiles.
Definitely gonna have to take a look and think about what we want to do next for sure, for sure. Now, we did see though the survivors obviously do a really good job of being able to fight back. Andrew, in the back, you told me that this was exactly what the survivors from Ariandel needed to do. What was it that you saw in that last trial?
Yeah, like, okay, listen, I was, my heart sunk, and I was very like that locker vault. Everyone's done it. We've all done it. It's so frustrating. It's really unfortunate to see in a bronze match, and like in the final here, the bronze finals here. I know Swatter can't be feeling too good about it. As soon as a down comes in that fast, particularly a down against, like we said, a sort of mid-tier killer, it goes in basement. In my head, I'm like, nope. Swatter, you're either dead or, depending on what the killer does, you're either dead or we're saving you on second hook. We need to trade your states for gen progress, and that's exactly what they did. First hook progress, pop 2 gens. Second hook progress, fully camped out, like Rob just said. Force Zaka to decide, how much room do I give them to get the save? Decided to sort of proxy camp, having that sort of like hanging out, just having a little shout across the field at iPick, yelling at each other because they can see each other, but they're not actually engaging. iPick had a really, really great chase after Swatter went down. After Swatter died. Bubbo was the one who in the end got the last chase, stayed alive long enough to get those gens done and get the people out the door. That was exactly what the survivors needed to do. If you are facing that, if someone's going to die in basement, you better get some gen progress for it. And they knew it. They knew the assignment and they did it. So really well done by Ariandel. This is beatable, but this is exactly what we needed to see from Ariandel to keep the series going.
I think we can all agree for sure beatable, but Metal Bro, what is it exactly that the survivors are going to have to do in order to beat that here and wrap things up in a sweep?
So what they're going to need to do is really have a long first chase. Unfortunately, Swatter kind of had that issue last match with the locker placement next to the window. As unfortunate as that is, and how little control you have over that, that can't happen. You can't allow that to happen. You have to make sure that you take the window vault and not hop into the locker. That's really unfortunate, and you can't let those kinds of things happen. Unfortunately, they are always a potential to happen. But yeah, that's something that can happen. Not only that, but also in true fashion, last match, Ariandel really showed what the survivors will have to do this match. They'll have to meet pressure with pressure, right? With the basement hook, or if any hook is being camped at all, you need to meet that pressure with generator progress. You have to really force the killer to decide what to do and put them in a point where they need to really choose what they have to do here.
Andrew, you were my Ariandel believer yesterday. This morning, you did say, though, whoever won that first set, you thought was going to win it all here in series number 3 for the bronze. Are we still believing in Ariandel to extend the series at minimum, or how are we feeling?
I want to say yes, I believe, with an asterisk next to it. Bubbo's on a 2-game losing streak here. I really, really hope Bubbo is able to clear your mind, come into this game knowing, listen, you need 6. We don't even need a lot of hooks. We need 6 hooks on 3 different survivors. That will keep you alive. That'll bring you to the Spirit, which I think I edge towards Ariandel to win the Spirit set. Let's get through this Lich set. Let's get 7 hooks or 6 on 3, and let's keep going. I think Bubble can do it. We just have to. I think it all comes down to mental game. Survivors. like we barely had any chases last match. It was just a very, very fast and then a camp out. So I think this game's going to go differently. Survivors need to have good chases in order for Nokron to close it out, and Bubble really, really needs to get a quick down. The opposite of what the opposite of what Rob said. Rob said the survivors need a long chase. Bubble needs a short one. There you go.
Well, unfortunate for me, or I guess maybe fortunate enough for me, because we got y'all's opinions and predictions on tape before we headed into the fog. It was only you guys that got to hear me that I said Nokron needed to win it in 3 if they were going to do it. Otherwise, it felt like if it went to 4, maybe 5, I leaned towards Ariandel. So we're in that position here now. Can you clutch things up? Can your survivors step to the plate and deliver a dub in a sweep? Only time will tell. Let's go ahead and send it back on over to Edgar and Zach as we take another trip back into the fog.
Thank you so much. Yes, 6 stages on 3 survivors. What Bobo is looking to do against the survivors of Nokron. Notoriously, Nokron known for their strong survivor side and good synergy. So there is high hopes for them coming into the set, especially against a weak killer like the Lich. But an early game potentially could set them apart. But setting the Dispelling Sphere across to the docks in the far corner, and we're checking main building for our first survivor. Bobo searching for that first chase. Would be good if he could get something early, something similar to what we saw last trial, 52-second down coming in onto Swatter. Let's see if he can match that, or if the survivors can deny it. Any form of momentum starting onto this game. Looking over at docks, that is going to be a totem cleanse. Looks like it's going to be crowd control leaving the trial. Only ruin left. Probably one of the better hexes if you were to choose which one you would want cleansed. Actually fakes the mage hand, and Zynox going to be vaulting into Bobo. That's exactly what he needs to this chase. Are we going to see a mage hand on the Jack pallet? Nope, we're not. Instead, going to use Fly. Has some decent RNG here, and he cancels the Fly before the pallet drops. So Zynox is going to be a little bit safer. Opting to take Shack back. He's going to pick it up. Doesn't have enough distance to make it a back round, it looks like. And could be seeing an early down here. Yeah, gets it, catches him on the window roll, and that is a really fast down by Lich standards. 1 minute 19, bit below, roughly on average, but that's not too much faster than what we saw last trial.
About 30 seconds. I feel like that could make a lot of difference as time goes on here. Zaka's nearby to try and maneuver the save, but been found out. That was a risky maneuver from Nokron survivors. If Zaka successfully hides there, perfect, beautiful. Everyone is super happy, and we all get to go home and eat apple pie afterwards. But you don't, because you found the survivor going for the unhook. This means that Ivan's going to have to come off the generator. Bubbo trying to use the elevation very cheekily to hit Zaka in a spot where he physically cannot dodge it. Now that topside pallet is gone, and Ivan, who was sent to unhook Zynox, has done just that. Interestingly, the Bubbo's not going to maneuver back to the unhook. They're going to allow the reset to come through onto Zynox. This makes sense. You're playing for stages and fresh hooks right now. So you realize that you have the ability to play this out here, and a hook onto Zaka is going to be another step in the right direction here. Of course, 3 fresh hooks will put you in far greater standing. It means that you're only going to need to tie the 6 hook stages that have already been obtained by Zaka last time, without having to worry about getting that 7th stage. So I don't actually mind not going for an immediate tunnel out onto Zynox here. You're playing for the win condition.
Yeah, I mean, getting 2 unique survivors hooked early is great. Progress towards the win condition, like you alluded to. The gem progression, I feel like, is probably not as much as Nokron might like. I mean, if we're just comparing it to last trial, where Ariandel just had complete freedom to knock all gems out, and that is Marcos, unfortunately, taking an early M1. Bobo playing these chases very nicely, but you do make it to main building. Not enough distance to make it upstairs, though. Is there a pallet here to use? No, it looks like this is going to be a 3rd unique survivor. And Bobo's already met that 3rd win condition. Now he just needs to secure the stages, Egdar. And this is exactly what Ariandel need. They're winning this set, getting into that Spirit set, which is their known strength. This is going to be absolutely amazing. We'll see if Bobo can kind of take it home, but 4 gens left, 3 hooks on the board. It's looking bad.
Also, know that the Survivors haven't been able to get rid of Ruin. They were able to find the crowd control exceptionally early, and what I wanted to mention is that there is a not impossible chance that the Survivors just get rid of 2 of the perks immediately, Corrupt runs out, and then Bob only has 1 usable perk until he's fresh hooked everyone, then he has absolutely nothing to work with. Fortunately, Ruin has stayed up. It's not even a particularly hidden spot, but it's in a kind of exposed position, and one that's very difficult to cleanse. Nice use of the flashlight there to actually try and deny Bubba from getting onto Marcos. Isn't going to manage it, utilizing the elevation, but Marcos able to have the endurance. I do actually wonder what gave him that, but honestly, I think maybe he just had the time off the hook. Maybe the hit came in a bit too quickly. Ultimately, doesn't quite matter because the chase is still going to continue via Bubbo here. Actually, utilizing that slight extra, that brown add-on gives him 0.25 extra seconds of fly. That actually got him through that window, means that he's able to catch up with Bubbo over to this pallet here. Sorry, catch up with Marcos over this pallet here. Able to make it underneath, but often a lot of these pallets aren't quite as safe as they initially appear. Doing a good job, however, able to get to the backside here and able to get all the way back up onto the main building, but is going to be down before that final pallet can be reached. Marcos had a pretty damn good go of that run, let's be honest with ourselves, but it might not be enough. Well, actually, I say that. Zaka and Ivan 2-manning the Shack generator. They don't have a bad 3-gen to deal with, but they do still need to complete 1 more gen. While doing that, they also need to be very careful of Marcos dying here, giving too many hook stages over to him. Ivan, of course, another fresh hook. Bubbo's already met the fresh hooks that he needs for that tie-breaking condition, but an extra stage if he can down Ivan quickly certainly won't go amiss.
Oh my god.
Hell of a way to start it.
Yeah, he got the insta pop. And is he 2-tap? Oh my god, that was so close, Ivan. You're stressing me out, man. It was such a bad luck on the flights of the dam. But remember, it's only 2 stages that Bubba needs, and he does not have a pallet here. Is the hit tag gonna come through? No,
what?
It just misses. He's not able to get his hitbox around in front of the survivor in time, and that's literally just a split second. And this is the last pain res, I believe. Visual manifest coming through on the hook blind. But yeah, so that's 5 hooks on 4 fresh now. So just 1 stage needed. They are very, very close on that last gen. They will pop that gen before he goes second stage. So this is still winnable for Nokron, but it's going to come down to the wire.
Ivan can't go second stage. They're in a position to do this. It's not impossible. And it's not like Lich is a killer which can very easily deal with unhooked situations. And luckily, there is a nearby exit gate just behind the main building. So before Ivan goes second stage, they need to have 1 person open that exit gate, or at least 99 it and be in position. They need to pull off a perfect 2-man save, and then they need to escort everyone back. If they are able to do that, they prove themselves to be championship caliber. Zaka is here positioned for it along with Marcos, and he actually hits the survivor being unhooked. He hits Ivan. No, there's a chance that Nokron will escape here. There's a chance that they get out with this. You need 1 more down. How are you going to do it? You're going to try and fly over everyone, and you're able to get onto the injured survivors. Can they protect? Can they protect Marcos? No, he gets the pickup.
No, he doesn't get it. Oh, you cannot let him get hooked here. You have to take hits. It's the only way. You have to throw all of your survivors. But look, even if you go down to this, I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if it's enough. He gets this hook, and that's it. That's it. That's the win confirmed for Ariandel. And that was so close, dude. That was so much closer than it needed to be, man. Bobos hit the survivor on hook. Thankfully, he had the fly to catch up, but man, that was right on the cusp of being a 3-0 for Nokron. Bobbo can rest easy now because he makes it to the Spirit set, but oh my goodness, what a game, coming in right to the wire. Exactly what we need for our bronze match, final match of the game. Analysts, please take it away and explain to us what went on.
Well, first off, can I just say it feels like for this bronze matchup, these end games later on in the series are just too much for me to handle in the background and not be able to just shout out and show everyone my excitement because my goodness, things got a little crazy there at the end. But we do got to give pressure to Bobo, who was able to do a really good job of spreading pressure early. What were your thoughts as far as that there, Metal Bro?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, things looked like they could have gone wrong pretty early on for Bubbo here. Crowd control being cleansed immediately. The first down coming in significantly later than the last match. But luckily for Bubbo, he spread a lot of early pressure. Zaka getting found very early just after the first hook was really good for Bubbo. And then just spreading stages. I think at some point, Nokron survivors were just making some mistakes in chase and kind of really giving these hook stages to Bubbo early on. And I think that's what led to the end game being so tight and so close. But we're talking about the early game right now. I mean, there's so many things that happened for Bubbo in the early game that really kind of led to a very close neck and neck situation between who goes, who takes this matchup point. A lot of back-to-back hooks, and that is exactly what Bubbo needed, in my opinion.
Well, Bubba definitely was able to come out and have a great start, but man, oh man, that ending was something else. I can only imagine the yelling and screaming on your side there, Angie. Walk us through it.
Yeah, I was screaming. And okay, behind the scenes, we're chatting about it, and people like, oh, Ariandel's going to take this out. And I'm sitting here going, we have 3 healthy survivors and a hook near a gate. This is not over. And even if you don't hit the hooked survivor, even if that doesn't happen, you still have go for the unhook, take the tag. Someone else gets the unhook. You got another healthy survivor getting the block. There's so many ways that any killer could do that. That fly to the exit, the grab. I was losing my mind. The body blocks, like there was maybe 1 or 2 seconds before we wiggled off there. Oh my God, I was losing. It was almost a flashlight save. I'm sorry. If I'm losing my mind, it's because I'm losing my mind. That was amazing. But as far as the whole game goes, Bubble played really, really well. Again, understood the assignment. I got to get fresh hooks. Let's go around. We hooked everybody around. We got a bunch of pain res regression. Ruin was rocking away there. Like we said, no crowd control. Just a fantastic match. Some really nice things on the survivor side too. I was screaming at the fact that when we were in the small building, I don't know if you call that the pantry or whatnot, Zaka somehow like hopscotched over a low elevation skeleton. Blew my mind. I have no idea how they avoided that, but great dodge by Zaka there. That was so back and forth that could have gone either way. I'm so glad that we're going to a 4th game because I did not want to see this over in 3. Wow, sorry. If I sound excited and losing my mind, it's because that whole time I was sitting here just like gasping and ooh, that was me. That was me. Just in case you guys wanted to know what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing.
You know, as soon as I saw that there was the hit on the hooked survivor, which allowed both players that were coming in for the save to walk away uninjured, all of a sudden I was having flashbacks to our first series in our bronze matchup, that Death Slinger set where we just saw body block after body block. They tried doing the same thing there. It's just unfortunately, it ended up not paying off. We talked about it before we headed into trial. Number 6, how it felt like Nokron, if they're going to pull things off, needed to do so early. They were unable to pull off the sweep, but that is only 1 set. They could still win things here on the Spirit, but I think everyone, at least for the most part here on the Analyst desk, would probably all favor Ariandel at least a little bit here in the Spirit set. So now it is going to be up to Nokron survivors to be able to come out here and be able to flip the script and be able to set a win con that the Ariandel survivors will be unable to beat. It's time for trial number 7. Let's go ahead and send it back over to our casters as we take another trip back into the fog.
Thank you very much to the desk. And yes, we're going to be extending this for a lot longer. You really thought that we were just done in 3 sets. I mean, I did for a moment. And then I didn't for most of the last matchup. And then I did for the very end of that matchup. And then I didn't at the very, very end of that matchup. These teams are playing with my soul. They're playing with my spirit right now. Speaking of playing with my spirit, we're going to be seeing that just now. This is Ariandel's pick, and it's pretty obvious why. It is their signature. Spirit, they have been a big fan of it. They have picked it 5 times this season. They are by far they have picked it the most out of any team by far. There are 2 other teams that have picked it twice, a couple that have picked it once. Ariandel, of course, have picked it 5. They are very, very proficient with it. And this makes sense because Bubbo, even back historically in the day, has been very, very well renowned as a incredibly strong Spirit player. Looking at the stats, there have been of Ariandel's play on Spirit, they have a 100% 4K rate. Now, yes, Spirit is deadly, but like even in regular matches, Spirit 4K is like 64% of the time. So Bubbo immediately opening up here. Also, this is the Dead Dog Saloon, the way that our map pools work. Obviously, we don't repeat the same maps where possible. So that means that Bubbo gets to play on Dead Dog, which is going to be a real tough time for the survivors right now. First time that we actually speed Spirit on Dead Dog this whole season.
Interesting little fun fact there. Of course, yes, like you say, the priority goes down to Deadlock Saloon because we already had the Wrecker's Yard Unknown set, and that's an early hit onto Ivan there. Caught a bit of open space too. Will make the shack window, but does he have much distance there to work with? The phase, of course, not going to come through. Shack pallet is dropped now, trying to make distance to main building potentially. Is going to follow with the phase, and Firecracker not going to connect. This is going to be the down so early on into the trial. That is a very, very fast down for Bubbo, coming in at 60 seconds on the dot. That is relatively faster than the average that we see, coming in usually around 1 minute 20, 1 minute 30. Well, in fact, no, actually, I think it was about 1 minute 70 even. Wow, okay. That's dangerously close to the average, but yeah, coming in fast. Bubbo starting out strong on the set he is known for, and the set he is seen to be the strongest on. Making it to the Spirit set is so clutch for Ariandel because this is essentially like where they shine. So have a chance to even the series out. For the people coming out from Marcos onto Ivan, has the life to play with. Will he make enough distance for that top window? Oh, he swings for it, and Ivan very smartly paths around the top of the main building. Is going to make this vault here. Has the front main pallet to work with. 2. Makes the window nicely there. We are going to be phasing nice. Stealthing there. Does Bubbo have the read on it? No, he went the completely wrong way, and Ivan escapes him.
Yeah, completely eluded right there. But Bubbo is a bloodhound. He's going to be picking up that scent regardless. Finds Ivan. The thing that separates your good and your great Spirit players are being able to find the survivors even when they're healthy, right? Because let's be honest, anyone with ears is able to find the injured survivor. The moment that you get injured, you just lose a chase against a Spirit. Simple as that, let's be honest. At that point, it's a desperate play to make some amount of distance. But like being able to suss out where they are before that, being able to predict them perfectly is the hallmark of a spectacular player. And Ivan goes down on the pallet. Bubbo, of course, very wary, doesn't want anyone around to get that save. Would be a hell of a missed opportunity, would deny the tunnel out a bit more. Marcos did use 4 people on Ivan to be able to extend that chase for a little bit longer. Bubbo very, very paranoid right now, trying to find anyone here, and actually catches Zaka in the bushes. Obviously has the skin on to be able to try and hide in the bush as effectively as possible. A pallet stun comes out onto Ivan, and Zaka
Wigless made for this combo.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely disgusting. Zaka in a perfect position to pick up there. And now look at the gens. They are flying while this is all happening in the corner. They've done a spectacular job. Ivan, by all accounts, should be dead by now. This is only his 2nd hook stage.
Yeah, wow, that pickup there and the endurance hit, basically keeping both of them alive and then making max distance to the corner of the map is so huge for that, because then they don't face the elimination and they're already on towards getting those gens done. Of course, we always look at Spirit sets at how fast they can get that elimination. Of course, it sets the tone for the 3v1. And Deadlock Saloon is notoriously small of a map, similar to that of similar to that of Wrecker's Yard, but you do get more prone to the 3-gens. Which is one of the factors we do look at whenever we're on this map. We always look at those 3-gens that spawn so close together, and it looks like Ivan's kind of hooked in the midst of at least one of them. They did pop a corner gen, I think. So they have broken that for the most part. So yeah, the survivors have set themselves up nicely in the match. Bobo looking to secure this elimination. Doesn't look like Nokron want to let their teammate die. We had Zynox on the main building gen, and Marcos and Zaka. Zaka's nowhere to be seen, but Marcos at least there for the unhook. It's going to try and body block him, but this unhook will come through regardless. Marcos taking the trade, and now it's all about how long Ivan can last. He has no shack pallet to use. Zynox almost completed on that main building gen. Will light over to water tower because that pallet was not used, but does he make it? It's going to be really close. Yeah, Bobo has to respect it, but he swings in and decides to die there. Zaka is in the edge map like he was before, but Bobo found him. If this pallet save comes through, which he does, and he has the sprint burst, and he saves Ivan from the elimination with the pallet save. Zynox about to take us to 1 gen remaining, and Bobo just cannot find this tunnel out, Edgar. This is absolute worst case for our Spirit.
Zaka is actually just built for this, right? Like, has sprint burst, has the will make it, we're gonna live forever combination to get the immediate pickups onto Ivan. Unfortunately, seems like his time is gonna be up. Injured here, it's going to be a very risky maneuver. He's still gonna stick around for it, but he even has the flashlight as well, like just in case. Bobo is so scared of the prospect of a pallet stun coming through. It's distracting. It's buying so much time for Marcos and Zynox, who are going to be positioned near these generators. And yeah, Zaka injured. Bobo psychs him out with the phase and therefore not able to get the save. Tunnel out finally comes out, but there's no 3-gen to control, and in fact there's no gen to control, full stop. No, not my 3-gen. No, not my 0-gen, it's gone. So Marcos completes that one. Is trapped in a corner injured against the Spirit, so how well is this going to go for him? Actually rather well, if he's able to get a pallet stun like that, and can potentially path over to this drop pallet. But Zynox and Zaka going to be fine to leave here. Interesting to see, it looks like they're going to try and heal Zaka. There's always the odd potential that they could rescue Marcos. He is a fresh hook, so that will be 3 extra hook stages. But no, Bubba's being hooked at the Marcos is being hooked at the very far corner of the map. So they're going to leave. Outing with 6 stages against a Spirit on Dead Dog?
Bobo.
Against Bobo's Spirit on Dead Dog. Dude, like, Nokron are actually on something right now. Can we get, like, PED testing for the DBDLeague players? These guys are juiced up to the gills right now, but they are playing incredibly, absolutely out of their mind right now, making a case for being some of the best survivors in the world. Now, Ariandel survivors, they gotta up with something big if they want to come back from this one. We're going to send it over to the analysts, who are going to break down that series and possibly the final trial in our bronze medal matchup. Take it away, boys.
Yeah, it's really hard to come up with words for what we just saw. I mean, the first time we've seen Spirit on the deadest of dogs, and we were all talking about it in the green room before the start of the series. I think everyone had the expectation of being able to find quite a few stages. I mean, 6, you got 2 eliminations, cool. What was it that you really feel like the survivors did right here, Metal Bro, in order to walk away with 2 fresh out the door?
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room here, shall we? The tunnel out onto Ivan certainly seemed like a very good idea for Bubbo, but one thing that he was not counting on at all were definitely 2 different things. One, Zaka was constantly nearby, ready for a pallet save in case he picks. And that did come to fruition once, which really set the tunnel out back pretty significantly, and it really damaged the amount of stages that Bubba was able to secure. Not only that, but we also, earlier in the match, saw that if he did not pick up Ivan at all, or Ivan, then a second trump card was in play. That being the combination of we're going to live forever and made for this. Now, when those two different perks are in play, that guarantees that the person who saves and the person who gets saved both have endurance, so long as the person who actually has made for this is injured when it happens. So with that being said, 2 different times Ivan was able to be saved from almost certain death. A very early tunnel out could have been in fruition there, but Zaka was just constantly nearby, ready for saves, and it was just insane.
Zaka showing that not just a monster over on the killer side, but able to come up with highlight plays as well on the survivor. I guess my question over to you, Andrew, as we look forward into another trial here, is when we look as far as now for the survivors from Ariandel, I mean, if they, what's the game plan that they're going to have to come in with in order to make sure that they get more stages than that out the door?
I think more of the same. I'm a little stunned. Zaka was an absolute menace that match, and coming off of that performance, now we've got Zaka on Killer on the Spirit. This is going to be rough for Ariandel. We need similar. That Wiglif made for this combo was pretty brutal, as Rob was saying. We need to see some good teamwork. I mean, Bubbo started out really strong with a pretty quick down. We need to go longer. We need to last longer. The gen progress is really great. So I basically what you got to do is you got to play exactly the same as Nokron just played, and slightly like by inches be better. Like Nokron played that almost perfectly. There's almost nothing to say. There's almost nothing to say that they did wrong. We need the same thing but better. I don't really know any other way to put it, you know?
Well, then let me ask you this question, I guess, a better way. For Zaka, you load in and you see a pretty darn good 3-gen, maybe over on that cacti side. Do you stay over there knowing that eventually you'll be able to pick up the hook stages? Or do you go out and hunt down those hook stages early and spread pressure?
Please God, no. We've seen a few singularity matches and some other, but particularly singularity matches where we load in and the killer goes, oh, look at these pretty 3-gens. And then they wind up 3 staging or something crazy like that. Spirit's extremely strong in chase. Go out, get your hook stages. Again, we're looking at the opposite way as we had last time. We need 6 hooks on 3 different survivors and you win the entire series. So no, the 3-gen is strong, but we're not looking to 4K. You don't need to 4K. If you 4K, great, but we don't need to 4K. No, go out there, get your chases, take it to some of the weaker areas of the map. Then that desert area is very strong in a sense that you can have really tight gens back there. There's a couple of decent pallets, but once they're gone, you're a long way from the safety of main building. So, I mean, I think you just play a normal DDS match, a normal dead dog, get some hooks, see if you can lock down the 3-gen maybe, but don't focus on it. Focus on your chase.
Well, you know what? We've got everybody all readied up and want to take back into the fog here for trial number 8. Could very well be our final trial of this bronze match. So get up and get hype as we send it on over to Edgar and Zach and run it back one time for the one time.
Ariandel have an immense amount of experience as and against a Spirit. And I think that they are going to be shocked that in a matchup as important and as crucial as this one, they ended up getting 6 staged. That's ridiculous. It's not like they can't do it. They have this season actually outed with 3 stages against a Spirit before. It's not impossible for them. But this is Zaka on the Spirit. Is it a specialist of his? No. But Zaka's Zaka, right? That guy is not going to be messing around on whatever he plays. And he has a very manageable win condition. Ariandel, you want to make the podium? You want to make your name in history? You got to be perfect. You got to be perfect right now. Everything's going to start this first chase onto Heart. Zaka taking his time to do some renovations. He's a passive income kind of guy. He's thinking about long-term investments. He wants to renovate the main building, knock down those doors so that later on, when the survivors try and get their safety around main building, one of only, realistically, like 2 safe places on this map, it is significantly less safe for them to work with. Zaka can afford to play patient, because everything rides on this, all right? He cannot get greedy. He cannot let the nerves get the better of him.
Yeah, Hardwell being found there. No pallet here for safety, at least. Oh, never mind, though. It's on the other side of the rock. But Hardwell actually chooses to path forward. He doesn't make that in sense. He essentially leaves the realm of safety and now is injured in danger. Zaka taking time to go for those breakable walls around the map to make his chases a little bit easier. And this is what Zaka does, really. Like, he's very methodical. Like, everything he does has meaning in the game. He's always thinking ahead, and that's in general how he plays his killers. But Hardwell now. Looks like he wants to die pallet. Is there anyone around? He just insta-picks. Says, calls the bluff. Is anyone there? Yes, they are. And the blind coming in on top of the pallet stun. That's 2 survivors there looking to protect Hardwell. And I kind of appreciate that, because 6 stages, they're going to basically need to concede a lot more. Essentially, they need to conserve the stages early game because they don't want to be giving anything early to Zaka, because that's going to set them up for success. So, good save onto Hardwell. And now we make it back into the corner of this map where we still have all of our pallets, we still have all of our safety, and he just continuously dies pallet. I do wonder if there's someone kind of shadowing this chase, but he just picked up. Is someone here? No. Yeah. Didn't think so. I didn't think they'd follow him across the map. But yeah, that's going to be the first stage, and without a gen popping as well. But one's about to pop, but that's good progress for Zaka so far.
The first down came 1:46. Obviously, the first hook going to come in a bit later than that. When the survivors are forced to go for that save to deny the first hook, it's obviously valuable in, well, denying the first hook, but it does draw them away from the generators. Again, as a killer, you're doing anything that you can to get the survivors off the gens. It's fundamentals 101. If you can get an injury, take it. If you can get a down, even better. If you get a hook, even better. Hardwell, of course, eating the first hook. That's the first step that Zaka needs in this series. And he's going to find Hardwell again! Just out of nowhere from downtown. Basically a blind hit that comes through onto Hardwell. Able to use life to make a bit of distance away from that TNO wall. He's going to go over into this houses section, which can be safe, but he's actually going to vault right back into the killer. There's no pallet that can save you here, so you're just going to go to the edge of the map to buy as much time as humanly possible. Now Hardwell's on his second hook. Hardwell's close to death. You can see, like, yes, there are generators which are being pumped out right now, but realistically, none of these get completed before Hardwell goes on his second hook. We're looking at 2 stages with 1 generator completed right now. Ariandel are on the ropes here. They are being pushed to their limit, and Zaka's ready to deal a knockout blow.
Yeah, and this is on the set. We expected them to shine on right, and you already have an elimination basically on the horizon. Bobo there. Maybe play for balanced landing, but the unhook's going to come through. Bubba maybe trying to bait Zaka towards him. No! Yeah, looks like it's the case. Does he make it? No, he doesn't make the pallet. So it's just going to be an extra stage to Zaka.
Zaka looking like Usyk.
I mean, I understand the idea behind like the bait and maybe protecting Hardwell, but you are looking at, like, it's a 6-stage. It's a 7-stage win condition, so any stages you can conserve, you surely want to, but I don't know if it was a misplay for Bobo or if it was an intentional play to just try and get Hardwell to safety. That's the only real reason behind it I can think of. If you have any other ideas, Edgar, but he has now got Bobo as a fresh hook now, has that second stage, that second fresh hook. Hardwell is going to remain hidden for the rest of the trial, I would presume, but yeah, Ariandel kind of switching tempo a little bit with this hook onto Bobo.
Yeah, Zaka looking like Usyk here. The survivors Ariandel looking like Dubois. It is a tough day at the office for them. And I think, honestly, I just want to chalk that up to nerves from Bubbo. Being down in a series like this, being exhausted from having played 2 hard-fought matches just 2 days before. Again, like, competitive play is so much different from just regular casual DBD. It requires so much focus, it's so intense, and often the players can get exhausted. Swatter's gonna try and save Bubbo here before that stage is given, and I like this. You maximize the hang time as much as humanly possible from Bubbo, but you don't actually let that stage go. They're still in this one, Ariandel. They're not out yet, as a couple of stages have been given. Zero respect that Zaka has for Bubbo on this pallet here. And he actually dies outside the pallet, so there's no hope of a save. That's going to be an instant extra hook that Zaka has. We're at 4 hook stages now. 3 more will win this. 2 more if it's on a fresh survivor. Oh no, things are going from bad to worse for Ariandel.
That's 2 downs in a row that have just seemed completely unnecessary to me. Like, that's 2 stages you're giving to Zaka, and you've still got 2 gens left. He only needs to get a kill, basically, on one of these fresh survivors, where he could even secure the kill onto Bubbo, but damn, Ariandel kind of falling apart a little bit in this game. They don't have enough gem progress to let Bubbo die here, and Zaka's near the hook, so if he forces a trade and it's a fresh hook, then you're essentially facing with the loss. And look at that, Swatter's here, does get the unhook. It's not going to be a trade, but now Bubbo is facing elimination. Swatter is almost going to die, and he doesn't make the window in time. It's all falling apart for Ariandel. Nokron looking to take the win with this next hook. They're going to be on pace for the victory. They're 3-1 potentially. The dream's still alive. Ariandel are going to need a miracle to come back from this. And I feel like it was down to some unnecessary survivor mistakes, and Zaka's just completely capitalizing off of it.
If Swatter goes to second stage here, it's a loss. It's going to be a 3-1 for Nokron here. iPick makes a little bit of distance away. They have to maneuver to save Swatter, but Hardwell's taking the chase right now. A hook onto anyone here is disastrous. Hardwell's going to be in a corner, stuck, injured against one of the strongest chase killers in the game. We can see a desperation player for the people onto Swatter, but that does not matter because Swatter's been fresh hooked. Now iPick is just the vulnerable target. Instead, we find Swatter on this high ground. Everyone is injured. Zaka has his pick of the litter right now. There is a million different ways that he could choose to end this series. Any down that this man wants, he can get. 2 generators left. Ariandel on the ropes. I don't think there's a realistic way for them to make a comeback into this one. Swatter has to live forever here. And Bubbo has to live forever. Deadard into a corner. Press E to win. And I think that that's going to be it. Ladies and gentlemen, your bronze medalist, Team Nokron, in the biggest season ever, DBDLeague Season X, a $500 final down from Zaka. And goodness me, they struck first and they struck last. They come into this match with confidence and they walk out with some hardware.
Absolutely massive congratulations. Nokron are absolutely on form today. I cannot say the same for Ariandel. Unfortunately, it seems like they have missed the mark really in terms of this series. And yeah, absolutely well deserved to Nokron for the incredible play that they've had. Zaka, top form on Killer, especially the Plague series. Totally shining on that one. And even coming close to a 3-0 if it weren't for that endgame during the Lich series. But wow, an absolutely fantastic series. Exactly what you need. I mean, these teams were neck and neck. They had 2 best of 5s go to game 5, even game 6 for the first series. And now Nokron absolutely decidingly putting the series to bed with this 3-1. And I mean, we will just be looking towards the end of this trial as the teams play this set out because they do have to. But wow, absolutely insane series. I mean, it was definitely competitive, even if it was a little bit one-sided. Even the pallet stage is going to come through, just trying to play a bit of DBD Edgar.
It's a scrim now. It's a scrim.
Yeah, it's just a game of I mean,
it's just a game, guys. Just a game.
They've already won. They've taken the medal. Playing for pride, playing for a good result, playing to recover the mental, but. Finishing the last gen, iPick taking a second stage, and just really good. I mean, Nokron, I felt like they had a second half to their season was a bit of a struggle. They went 1-6 kind of off the back of group stage, and for them to claw their way back to a final match of the series and take it from Ariandel, and I don't know, you know, Ariandel is such a strong team, right? You can't really understand, well, you can't really like guess who's gonna take it. I mean, these teams are so evenly matched, but Ariandel is such a strong team.
recall Ariandel was one tied set from being in the grand finals against Invictus. Like, that's how close we were. How they almost beat Elysium. They were so close, like a hook stage away from making grands and securing that extra prize money. And how tragic for them that when all is said and done, they end up in 4th place. Commiserations to them. Of course, 4th place, $2,000 of that prize pool. 3rd place, $2,500. So Zaka definitely did get the $500 down earlier onto Bubbo. It was key and it was crucial. Congratulations to Nokron for taking the bronze medal, finishing on the podium, putting themselves in history as medalists in the biggest ever season of competitive DBD that we have seen of all time. And commiserations for Ariandel. I mean, they fought so hard. They dropped the first series in 6. They come back in 5 yesterday, but they just can't finish the job.